They make them, we cover them, you sell them. Welcome to OEM Update, where we talk about everything you need to know about this year's vehicle model lines. My name is Megan Cusack, editor of Motorcycle and Powersports News, and today we're going to be talking about the 2026 Buell Super Cruiser. This brand new superbike style cruiser starts at a base MSRP of $25,900. So, let's dive deeper into what this bike has to offer. But for that, we're going to go straight to the OEM source. Joining me today to give us an overview of the 2026 Buell Super Cruiser is Bill Melvin, CEO of Buell Motorcycle Company. Bill, thank you so much for jumping on to speak with us today.
Yeah, thanks, Megan. Appreciate the invite. It's a great opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. We are happy to hear what's new from Buell because you guys have a lot going on here. But first of all, just kind of, for those who maybe aren't familiar with your company, can you give us a brief introduction to Buell and maybe like its recent revitalization in the market?
Yeah, definitely happy to do that. So Buell was started in 1983 by Eric Buell in Wisconsin, and a number of years later became a division of Harley Davidson. Under Harley Davidson, it was grown globally, sold all around the world as the performance brand of America. There was some challenges in the late 2000s under Harley Davidson, and the company spun out through a variety of years and work that we did with our team. We acquired the company, acquired the brand back, moved it to Michigan, and then relaunched in 2021 as Buell Motorcycle Company in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So have been building out a great team, leadership team, advisory team, bringing on amazing staff and starting work on new products. And then one of those new products, which has been teased in the market for the last couple years, is the Super Cruiser. And I think that brings us to our interview today to talk about the Super Cruiser.
Yeah.
So I've been involved with the whole process of acquiring the company, moving it, and doing some work with an amazing team here in Grand Rapids. It's actually almost 10 years now. So
Wow.
our relaunch in 2021 was actually about 5 years into the process.
Those types of things take a long time to come to fruition there. So, but it's great to hear that in the last 4 years here, you guys have just been on a roll and getting these new bikes out. And as you said, here we are to talk about the Super Cruiser, which is now in production. And you guys just displayed the first one at the Barber Vintage Festival at the
We did.
museum. So can you tell me a bit about that? Like, what was the response from consumers and everyone during that festival?
Well, it's been a lot of work to get the bike into production. We are an OEM. This is a new designed product. It keeps the same performance 1190 cc engine that's about 175 to 185 horsepower, depending on the bike configuration. So going through that whole process was a lot of work. And then getting into the first production units is just happening last month and this month. So we've had a great relationship with the Barber Museum. Buell has an enormous exhibit there. I think there's really two main brand exhibits in the museum. One is Lotus cars, and the other one is Buell motorcycles. And part of that is from George Barber's passion for those two brands and their steadfast determination to make amazing performance products with small, nimble teams, which is what we're doing at Buell. So that relationship with George, he's always bought VIN number one. And as we finished VIN one, literally 5 days before the Vintage Festival, I reached out to Brian Case, who's now the curator of the museum. Noted that the bike is just getting completed. If he is open to displaying it, we can bring it down, and he was open for that. So I think I got put in a pretty cool spot in the museum. And I do know that we had a lot of people contacting us, wanting to make sure it was going to be there and they could see it. Obviously, it got a tremendous amount of press for the museum as well that our bike was there because we're in production, which is exciting.
And so, speaking of the Super Cruiser being in production, can you tell us what some of the main features of this bike are?
It started with the engine, right? So we have the highest performance V-twin engine built in America. It ranges between 175 horsepower and 185 horsepower. On the Super Cruiser configuration, it uses two injectors, so it's 175 horsepower. And it's a very light engine with a high performance, about 100 pounds of torque, V-twin, 72 degree. And when you package that into any of our models, it's a very fast engine. And America is really known for a high performance V-twin engine. And that's what we have. So the other thing we did with the bike was just went to like iconic kind of throwback American motorcycle styling with a steel gas tank and a steel tube frame. You can go back through, over 100 years of American motorcycle manufacturing. Steel gas tank, American steel tank, and American steel frame are quintessential American motorcycles. And so that was an important thing that we wanted when we designed this. I designed it with Roland Sands. Mm-hmm. It was my idea to have this really hot rod engine into a hot rod American cruiser, using a steel tube frame, showing the engine, leaving it aesthetically beautiful so you can see those working components, minimizing, the unneeded parts and unneeded plastics and covers, just leaving as much of the functional bike exposed as possible. And then from there, having it be a platform that people could customize and accessorize. Roland and his team drew up the sketches for the bike, and it was just beautiful. So I've gone back to those discussions that we had. It was a number of years ago, and the first sketch that he sent us is almost identical to the bike that we're manufacturing today. So wow. It's very exciting.
Yeah, that is impressive because, I know from concept to final production, that can change a lot. So the fact that it looks almost exactly the same there, that's impressive.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it took a lot of work. We've got great engineers. We've got a great supply chain team, great suppliers. And I think kind of my job was to, as being there at the start of it and here now in production, kind of continually going into the engineering office and saying, show me what you got. Hey, if you look at it, if we, tweak this angle, it stays closer to the original. Mm-hmm. So really just kind of keeping that aesthetic of the bike. And then also, our team did a really great job with clinics. We did a lot of work with customers and people that were interested in the bike, making sure they could sit on it, touch it, see feel how it felt when they were on it and riding it. A lot of industry experts have ridden the bike, the prototypes. And so it gave them an opportunity to give feedback, and then we put that feedback into the designs. So we've gone through 3 prototypes to get to production phase. The first 2 prototypes are a little bit different, and the final version is really beautiful. So it's a bike that we can design, build and manufacture and get to the customers, and they're going to be really happy with. It's a high performance product, right? It's light, under 500 pounds, liquid cooled engine, high horsepower, beautiful handling. It's a super bike in a cruiser package, so it's really fun to ride.
Very cool. Yeah. All right. Well, so you were, labeling a few of those specs there. Do you have a few more of those technical specs you can give us?
We've got a very high performance suspension system that we designed with Fox. So Fox was known for making high performance mountain bike suspensions and road suspensions for mountain bikes, and they got into the off-road and street rear suspensions and shocks. So we designed a front suspension fork system that is on par with Öhlins, if not better. I've ridden Öhlins and ridden this Fox. I feel like the Fox is a better suspension system all around than Öhlins. So it's really an exotic high performance suspension system that we sell on the bike directly to the customer, right? It's not an upgrade. It is the suspension on the bike. So they're buying an Olin's quality, if not better, suspension system that's built in America with Fox. So that's awesome. We use Brembo dual disc brakes, so the bike stops on a dime. So that system is a little bit of a difference from the original Buell single perimeter disc system. We do plan to continue to sell the single perimeter as an option for customers. But as we get into volume manufacturing and a bike that is going to be sold around the globe, the dual disc system is something that's more known globally. You can get parts for it. It also allows us to get into ABS brakes. This bike does not have ABS brakes, but when we get into that system, it'll be easier with a dual disc Brembo system. So it's got great Brembo brakes. We've got lightweight wheels. We've got a high performance swing arm. It's an aluminum swing arm that is designed for superbikes. That is the same swing arm that raced in World Superbike and did exceptionally well. It was, everyone touted it as the best handling bike in Superbike when it was racing that. And that's the same swing arm. So that swing arm mounts right into the engine, which allows the dynamics of the bike to have beautiful handling. Our lean angle is, it's got a 50-degree lean angle, which gets very close to Superbike lean angles. If you change the mounting on the foot pegs to a little bit less comfortable cruiser foot peg to a little bit more of Superbike feel, you could get your lean angle to very, very close to what a Superbike is at, which is, I think, I don't have the exact lean angle, but Superbikes are a few degrees more than ours, but you could get there if you modified your foot pegs. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's got a Saddleman seat, which is very comfortable. We've worked with them closely to have a beautiful design. Memphis shades, front fairing, and a lot of our components are American built and American suppliers. So a key focus that we've had with the company for the last 4 years is bringing back American supply chain into this bike. So our engine cases come from America. A lot of our engine components are now moved to America. Our frame is American. Our gas tank is American. Our fender's American. The suspension system is Fox from Minnesota. So we've really done a lot of work to have American supply chain and American components in the American Super Cruiser.
That's excellent, and probably very helpful, especially with the current, tariff situation going on everywhere. So
Yeah.
Okay, so as you said, this is basically a superbike in a cruiser style package. So who then would you say is your target rider for this bike?
So the target rider is an experienced rider. It is someone who obviously likes something stylish and unique, something that they can customize, but they also, they need to be a good rider, right? If you're a new rider, this isn't the bike to jump on. But if you have experience and you know how to use your brakes and you know how the bike handles, you're going to love the bike. The nice thing about the throttle control, the comfort of the bike, it is, for an experienced rider, it's easy to ride at any level. So, we put Jeff May, who was a top American Moto America rider and racer, on the bike. We took him down to Road Atlanta, and he ripped around the track, and he was passing Ducati Panigales left and right, and some BMW 1000 RRs, right? And he was passing them on a cruiser. So the guys were coming up to him in the paddock and saying, what are you riding? What is this? They hadn't seen it yet. So I do think there's a lot of performance sport bike riders who are actually going to say, you know what, I can ride a cool cruiser, and this is a really high performance, stylish bike. And then there's also a lot of American cruiser riders, who've ridden a couple different brands that we're familiar with, that just want something that's lighter and better performance. It's 200 pounds lighter than the average American cruiser, maybe 250 if you take some of the heavier bikes. And it's got, 40 to 60 more horsepower right out of the box, from the factory. So it's something special, and we're excited to be building them here in Michigan. And we got a pretty cool customer base that's eager for this bike, and that's what we're doing, is getting ready to ramp up production right now.
Speaking of those customers, I know currently you guys are like a direct order manufacturer. Do you have any plans to use the dealership model in the future, or are you kind of staying where you are?
Yeah, no, we are setting up a dealer model. So the model that we have set up is uh, dealers in big markets and working to set up the best dealers. So in
Mhm.
some of the key markets, the reason we didn't set up a dealer 2 years ago is because some of the best dealers in those big cities want wanted the volume of the Super Cruiser.
Mhm.
So now we are in great discussions with some very high end dealers to sign up in key markets that we've been kind of holding off signing. We didn't want a C dealer 2 years ago. We want to wait for
Mhm.
the A dealer in 2026. And we're in those discussions now, going through, kind of final details to sign up a bunch of them right now. So we will have dealers in bigger cities. And then outside of the bigger markets, we do have a service network. So our total count right now of service centers, and those service centers are premium, high performance service locations. Many times they carry other brands as well. The way that model is set up is they do get a fee when we are selling direct into their market. And so
Mhm.
the reason we do that is to help keep contact with our customers. They want to talk to Buell. They want to talk to the factory. They want to know our team and buy direct from the Buell factory. So we do sell to them direct, and then those service locations have a nice model set up where they are getting paid to handle that customer and work with the customer, help them with accessories, help them with service. A lot of those shops are customizing shops, so they can do a variety of different accessories and upgrades for the customer, and they're really great shops as well. So I mean, it's a cool group that's in the service center group, and we are starting to sign up dealers now in the bigger locations and for the bigger markets.
Fantastic. And
Yeah.
so, speaking of those, accessories and customizations, what do you foresee being some of the more popular accessories for the Super Cruiser?
For my own personal bike, I quickly wanted a full fairing and bags,
Mhm.
because I knew we were going to ride out to Sturgis. And so, we accessorized it with our race shop, putting bags on there that didn't affect the lean angle. So the bike still leans like a race bike. Um, and the fairing, we, went with a Advent Black fairing that gives nice wind deflection, if you're going down the highway at a good speed, but also doesn't slow the bike down. So fairings, there's going to be a variety of different fairings. We are already working with some really top-notch accessory companies that are U.S. accessory companies to design new fairings, and some of those are going to be unique setups to those companies that have some really cool different lighting than currently what comes on the bike. Saddlebags, I do believe there's going to be some different saddleman seats, so you can have kind of different cushions, different styling, different designs, different colors. I think there's going to be a lot of people painting their bikes in different styles. I mean, this is one of those bikes it's high end, it's high performance, and there's a lot of people in that group that want their own colors, want their own style. So that's going to be fun to see. Lights. I have Baja Design on my bike. It's a really cool light package. And I think there's going to be a lot of different lights that people are going to be putting on them. And then the controls, right? I mean, the bike comes with really nice controls, but everyone likes to change that stuff up. So
Yeah.
I think the one thing that probably won't get changed is the suspension system. I think it's impossible to have a better suspension system that already comes on what comes on the bike. So, if you switch from Fox to Olin's, you might be taking a step down. So I think people are going to stick with the Fox suspension. Maybe they'll get some different colors and anodizing them, something like that. But yeah, so the bikes are going to be really customized. You're going to see a lot of variety. In our race shop, we've worked on a few different versions of the bike internally, just kind of with our creative team of, what would we do with the bike which is what we want to do. There'll be more from other people out in the market once they have the bikes, but we have a cafe racer that we'll be unveiling pretty soon, which is really cool on the platform. There's the we call it the Baja, the Super Cruiser Baja, which has got an extended suspension. You could take it off road. It's got a front and rear off-road suspension system. You could ride that bike, to South America if you wanted. So there's some people that are going to stunt the bike. So there's going to be a lot of, I think, some stunt accessories that people are coming up with. It comes with race 17-inch rear and front wheels, which are race bike sizes. So you can get, race slicks and sticky rubber from Dunlop for these tires and for these wheels right away. But I think some people will probably be accessorizing the wheel sizes. Some of the cruiser market likes a 19-inch front, and it can fit one with a little bit of change in your rake. So I think there'll be some wheel customization, and it'll be fun to see.
Well, it has been a pleasure speaking with you, Bill, and thank you so much for taking the time today to talk with us about the 2026 Super Cruiser.
Thank you. We appreciate the invite and appreciate all you guys do.
For more information about its company and its bikes, head to buellmotorcycle.com. And as always, like, subscribe, and stay tuned to MPN for more of the latest and greatest in motorcycle and powersports news.